all right. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna react to something because it's very fun. Now, saintontas just keep taking L's all over the place, and now saintontas is gonna get L's from a from a childlike content creator. So we're gonna get into it. I'm reacting to Skull CJ's video. I have been subscribed to him for a very long time. From the time that he mentioned, talked about the Zenith Zone Zero's first impression, which was a totally valid video, and he got a lot of bad takes or bad reaction from it because people were overly sensitive about Zenith Zone Zero at the time. When in that time, Zenith Zone Zero was in a bad state, and Xenozone Zero now to where it is right now is completely different and it's for the better. And our outrage was the leading factor in things changing because if there's no outrage, things will not change. I'll not get too political in this and I'll get to the video because I subscribe to Magyi not because I play with the Raves, yes, but I subscribe to Magyi because I know that doing things like that will piss off saintontas even more.
Video is by saintontas, and let's hear what he has to say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Mhm.
it looks like the rat is back at it again. It looks like Magyi is here to spread even more misinformation about Wuthering Waves. Because, of course, right, we know that this is a person that holds grudges. We know that this is a person that is in here with an agenda. They went ahead, they posted a video saying that Kuro ruined their career after they got caught leaking and were kicked from the creator program. They posted
All right. Well, in that situation, yeah, that is bad. But Maggie, like, she should have just come out and apologize for it and stuff, and just leave it as that. I think what Maggie did was just a little bit when you're enjoying your job a little bit too much. I think she really enjoys what she do, and what she does is making guide for Wooden Waves. I haven't watched guide videos for Wooden Waves, but if I'm gonna start watching it, which I will because I am trying to give Wooden Waves a fair shot before I decide if I want to get rid of it or keep playing it. I am going to be watching Maggie's video because she is really good at what she does for a reason. And I'm not watching her because she's childlike. Jesus.
that video right after the anniversary drama, hoping to capitalize on it and get more people on their side. It worked until somebody found the receipts, until somebody found the evidence. And by holding a grudge against the Woo-Wah subreddit and the Woo-Wah community as a whole, well, all you have to do is take a look at some of her recent posts on Reddit. She's deleted a lot of them because she made one post talking about how Kuro ruined her career, got ratioed on that one after people found out the truth. She also made another post apologizing for that one, got ratioed the fuck out of this one, and then she got ratioed again, talking about her video explaining everything. Evidence of that now deleted post, right, that got ratioed into infinity and beyond. Well, Ryuku Sensei himself went ahead and actually broke it down for everybody. And
Look, we're already 1 minute in, and this was the old beef. And apparently this is about something completely different because it does say again, so I'm going to skip forward just a little bit, skip his
Yeah, I was about to say that. The problem with Saint Totas is that Jesus, he yaps like 3.0 Honkai style storytelling. Man, that's yaps. And I think I mentioned this in the video previously. Like these React content creators in the culture space, they have a typical style of like trying to review people's content without really covering what the context of what they're saying is and try to nitpick. Say you'll have a point. I'll say that. Hmm, just think that I said a point that is totally valid in your situation, and him or Tectone or Saintontas will come in and try to pick something out of that argument, out of that statement that you just made, that they have a chance of creating a big argument out of, and then draw it out like the small portion of it is the true meaning of your statement when your statement was not that entirely. I have seen it countless times and it's just not really good for these content creators. It's just baiting, really.
yapping towards the Cabbage Patch Kid and go into what this new issue is all about, okay? Meet you in a second. All right, so here we are. Let's see what this one is all about.
Wouldn't it be funny if there was even more drama caused from this creator, except this time it's about Kuro rapidly power creeping the game? And so I decided, why don't we go ahead? Why don't we take a look? Why don't we talk?
So they say that Zani's team is power creeping the game. Thing with power creeping is, I think power creeping happens in two ways. You either no, it only happens in one way actually. Power creeping is when a character is significantly stronger than the character before. It doesn't mean that all right, say for example Genshin. Genshin, you can clear the bosses with any character you really like as long as they're well built and stuff like that. But still there's power creep. And why is that? Because the unit that comes up after is stronger than the unit before. And then hence that is what you call power creep. So yeah, power creep is something that is going to happen automatically when it comes down to a gacha game. Why? Because they have to create incentives to pull the characters regardless. So it's just always going to happen. It's something that we can't stop. The only problem is what HSR is doing with the HP inflation. Though, as I'm trying to get serious with Honkai Star and billing for Endgame, I realize that it's clearable. It's You can clear endgame content in HSR. It's just that the problem is the gap between story bosses and endgame bosses is night and day. It's a wide gap. Like I will one shot any story boss, but I'll have a hard time with like endgame boss, and that's the main issue that I'm having really. It should be at a point where that's a whole other topic. I'm not going into it. We're sticking and focusing to this and what's said here.
About where these numbers are coming from, because 15% is a pretty big claim, wouldn't you say? 15% power creep over the other teams, 10k more DPS is quite a lot. And so what I did was, well, I decided to look at some of the numbers. I decided to look at specifically, because we're looking at performance over 2 minutes, I decided to look at straight up what her sheet is looking like. Because ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of stinky stuff on here. There's a lot of really stinky stuff on here.
There's some stinky stuff on this sheet, apparently.
Yeah, it smells very stinky.
Let's see what this is all about.
Let's go ahead. Let's get right on into it. So what you're going to notice over here on Magyi's sheet, and I don't think anyone's actually ever taken the time to look at this because, like I said before, half of the community probably failed math class. Nobody actually looked at how this is.
I don't think half of the community failed math class. I just think it's the saintontas community just does not good at math because it's a bunch of R words, really. If you're gonna be rage bait by content like saintontas, then it really speaks to levels of your IQ level. Honestly, it speaks. I'm not gonna go into it. Like,
Is that true, y'all? Y'all fail math class?
In-game time, all the different attacks she's using, all of these rotations that she's talking about, nobody actually looked at how it's all adding up. And there's one conclusion that I have to say, after looking at this entire thing, validating some of the rotations, and even testing it out in-game myself. So much of this is made up. She is
Magyi is making up calculations, chat? Yo, is that true? Is Magyi out here making up calculations? Ain't no way. That's actually crazy. I mean, she did make up the other stuff about, you know, Kuro kicking her off the program for no reason. So is that actually true? Is she actually making up calculations?
stating.
I'm gonna shit on saintontas so hard right now, but I'm just waiting.
Such an absurd degree how long attacks in this game take. She has, through much of the moves that she's putting into here, a lot of the assumptions that she's making with the fight, she's understating the time it takes and overstating the damage that teams are actually going to be able to do in any content in the game. It doesn't have to be TOA. It can be Weewa, it can be holograms. It's basically everything. And because she's understating how much time stuff takes and overstating the damage of her rotations, yeah, that would pretty easily feed into the narrative that there's a fuck ton of power creep. Because she's using attacks, she's using moves that you physically can't do in time that isn't physically possible.
Oh no. Oh no. So she's actually using these calculations with moves, from what he said, that cannot be done. And I'm guessing rotations and things that are not physically possible to be done in the game. That's, I gotta be honest.
That's a terrible, terrible take, fam. Because, say, for example, a new boss comes out that has more HP than other previous bosses, then this character is going to be able to do their final move, which you say that she's not doing, that is doing the maximum of damage. That makes no sense whatsoever. And that's is another stupid argument as well, because you're telling me that, you know what? Nah. The other thing is, I wanted to
That's
say
not looking
first,
good. That's not looking good for Magyi, if I do say so myself.
I wonder if there's an agenda here, guys.
Oh.
I do genuinely wonder if we're trying to get some vengeance on Kuro Games for
Do you guys think that Magyi's trying to get some vengeance on Kuro Games?
ruining our career.
Yeah.
Isn't it really convenient timing with all of the Doom
I don't think Maggie is trying to get eyes over Wuthering Waves or because of that. Because I think she genuinely enjoys the game. And even though you genuinely enjoy the game, if a game decided that, oh, they're gonna cut you from the content creation, and you decide that you're still covering the game and still playing the game and still doing the numbers, it's because she's passionate about the thing that she does. And I don't think she's gonna, and I think she knows that the community she has are not the people of saintontas that want to come in for drama and stuff like that. It's like people that want to know the numbers and want to know how to best optimize their team and trust in her integrity. And she didn't lose her integrity with the situation with Kuro. It's just that she leaked information that wasn't supposed to be leaked. So I don't think it would be in her best interest to decide that, oh, she's gonna fake these numbers and stuff like that.
posting going on in the Wuthering Waves subreddit? Isn't it really, really, really convenient with all of the discourse on Spectral Rover versus Phoebe? Isn't
I had to do a video myself about this specific thing right here. The whole calculations by Pridewind that people weren't reading and paying attention to some of the things that were being said in there. So, okay, I hear where.
No, that's actually true. The difference between Spectral Rover and Phoebe is ridiculously, because I've seen videos testing it out. It's really night and day. So if he's gonna say that the difference between Spectral Rover and Phoebe is like doesn't make too much of a difference, it does. It really does. In terms of numbers, it really, really does. So
Coming from on this.
it really convenient with all the people saying that like Sitlali and Mavawika are directly compared to Zani and Phoebe, and then we go in and we put in one of the most cooked rotations possible that is not accurate at all. I'm pretty sure we could just look at the rest of this shit and be like, yeah, the timing on all this other stuff is completely fucked up. I only looked at the stuff that was fishy. I only looked at the stuff that was really, that looked bad at a first glance. I'm certain there's more.
This man got me switching my camera back and forth nonstop, bro. Keep your camera in one side, okay?
When it comes to the stats that she's showing, guys, well, let's just say that these stats are a little bit fishy, ladies and gentlemen. We're running 81% crit on Phoebe, 291% crit damage, 93.87% on Zani, 291. Oh, sorry, no, that's not Zani. Zani's at 348% crit damage, 65.87% crit. And you want to know the best part about all of this, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, this is all on 0% ER. Yeah, we're just doing a liberation every rotation.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen much. You're not going to be doing multiple rotations back to back to back with 0 energy regen on a Zani. I'm just saying that right off the bat. He's right on that at least.
We're putting in a shit ton of additional substats into all this crit, all this heavy attack, all this attack as well. Yeah, and we have 0% ER on both Phoebe and Zani. Ow.
Oh no, yeah, that's that's a little bit scuffed if you want to do multiple rotations relatively quick. Okay, so if you want to do multiple rotations, that is kind of quick. Now, I do want to say, we've heard saintontas' side of the story.
All right, let me think about that. Now, the 0% HAER, which he says, doesn't mean that the character has 0% ER completely. It doesn't mean that. If I can back up a little bit,
That's a little bit
All this crit, all this heavy.
on
let
Azani.
me see
I'm
if I
just
can find it. Hmm. It's difficult to find it, but I don't think it's necessarily 0 ER. Maybe she realized that you can actually pull it off with 0 ER. There's that possibility. And she might find a way that it works a little bit better than stacking a bunch of ER on characters. And also, there's the fact that I'm not sure how Shorekeeper kits work. I do have her, but I've never looked into her kit and stuff like that. Like I'm a tourist when it comes down to whatever ways. I just play it for the story, but it's so there's I'm not that's I'm oh my god the whole universe curse is hitting me. I just keep on yapping. Hmm. We don't know if um there I don't know if the Phoebe and Zani is getting energy regeneration buffs from Shorekeeper, or there's energy recharge. We don't know how it's set up. So the best way to do it is when we start testing it in the fields and see.
story, but you guys sent me a video that Magyi just posted where you claim that she cooked saintontas. So let's see what Magyi had to say. All right, here we have Magyi's video, and it's titled "From Theory to Practice: Is the Zani Rotation Impossible?" Let's see what she has to say.
Hi, I've heard some people were having some rotation issues with Sunny. Since the release of my guide
She didn't mean some people. She was just talking saintontas. Jesus Christ.
video, there have been a couple optimizations to the rotation, as well as global fixes that mainly affect quickswap.
No, the main point of the video that she was making that the biggest power creep so far, the power creep exists. It does exist. If the character is doing X amount more damage than the other character, the power creep does exist. When Acheron came out and did significantly more power than every single other DPS in the game at the time in Honkai Star Rail, it was called power creep, and rightfully so. Nobody said that, oh, this is not power creep, because theoretically you can clear the bosses with every other DPS, so it's not power creep. Her point still stand, and it's very valid. It is power creep because this character is significantly stronger than the previous characters, and that in itself is essence of power creep. And it makes it even worse because every single other unit after Zani has to be on Zani's level at least or higher. That's the whole mechanic of power creep. So if these content creators like saintontas and Tectone and Gotchasmack and others are gonna think that power creep is not gonna come in the game because he can clear the game with everybody else, that is not the meaning of power creep. That's not the meaning of power creep. Power creep is when a character comes out that is significantly stronger than the other character. That is why power creep exists in Genshin Impact. Power creep can exist in the game, yes, but if the content can be cleared by everybody else, it's not a big issue. I think many players that play Honkai Star Rail are not really worried about power creep. Power creep was never the issue in Honkai Star Rail. The problem is they're trying to match the boss's max HP to the level of the power creeped the unit that came out to power creep everybody, and that's the issue. So all the other characters before that are weaker are gonna struggle significantly with a newer boss or even the older boss that got a HP buff to be able to tank the rated up DPS, and that's the problem with Honkai Star Rail.
comps.
Okay.
However, the Zani baby rotation still stands at 70k DPS.
Okay, so let me just summarize her really quick. She did some
This reminds me of when EO made that video in Zenizone Zero saying you can't you can't clear Zenizone Zero Shinyu defense tower 7 blindfolded, and then Mr. Pokey go on stream while reacting and do it.
changes to her rotations and things and how they worked, but the overall DPS of the team is still 70k DPS. So the overall message is still the damage is 70k per rotation.
Here's an example of it in action.
Okay. I like that. Oh, she's getting sweaty with it. Okay.
That's a lot of damage. She hardly get hit.
Not gonna lie, that rotation is gonna give a lot of you people arthritis.
So I make it
That is
up.
that sweaty quick swap rotation. God damn.
This rotation took around 29 seconds compared to the sheet's 25.
That's normal, right? When it's theoretical crafting, you're not always going to have the exact time because there's things like dodging and all that other crap
Yeah,
that
that's
goes into
true.
it. But going from, 25 that she set on her cheat to 29, it's not that bad at all. That's still pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because that's just RNG and stuff like that. It's not gonna be 100% accurate to tier crafting, because tier crafting is basically in itself speculations by calculating numbers. It's like what max can do, but it's not gonna be easy for people to hit it. It's like, I'm gonna go into car reference. If you have a very fast car, not everybody's gonna be able to drive the car at its optimal performance, but the calculations can come out and the optimal performance will be amazing. There are people that can hit close to that, and there are people that are gonna struggle with that, and that's what you call skill issues. And I think that's the stuff that I don't think saintontas could hit this, even if Maggie gave him her account, he couldn't have hit it. So I can understand why Mr. Saintontas is having difficulty comprehending this, but yeah, I think this is just skill issues, bro.
This is expected, as theoretical rotations use.
And I have to say, Maggie is really good at the game. I am not surprised, because it is what she loves doing, and she does the numbers, and she knows a good deal how this is showing of a content creator that knows exactly what these characters do, and theorycraft, and not only theorycraft, has tested them as well in the field to see what they're capable of, what the best for them. So this is just this whole situation is just a advertisement that if you play within ways, Maggie should be the best Tinselot choice for you when it comes down to your guide making, your echo farming, and all of these calculations, and who to pick for a DPS and stuff like that, because she is actually very dedicated in what she does. And don't let, because the content creator says that if you follow this content creator, this means like you're into childlike characters, and then now you're known as a pedo on the internet for the rest of your life. Sorry about that, genocide, but it's really, she's doing really good
Frame
work here.
perfect timing,
Yeah.
and cannot account for required dodging or other interruptions.
Oh my god, shots taken. She even put it up there. Remember to take DPS value with a grain of salt. Different team comps have different capabilities and strength. She even put it up there. No way. Oh, Maggie, you're doing really good,
just
man.
parries, which
Okay.
still tick down the timer. But, of course, this isn't an isolated case for Zani only. This is literally just how theory crafting works.
Yeah, obviously.
For comparison, here's a Carlotta JoJo rotation, which has much less quick swap.
Yo, she just called us saintontas so hard. Saintontas is such an idiot, man. Jesus.
Okay. Nice. Clean.
It is.
Okay.
You'll notice that this also has a 29-second running time.
Okay, so the difference is very similar. One had a 15% difference. This one has about 13% difference. Once again, it all depends on a whole bunch of factors. So, okay, everything checks out so far.
I think in this battle, it's clear and obvious that the winner is the little girl. Saintontas got beaten up by the little girl. Oh my god, I can't believe this.
Roughly the same ratio as the Zani team. Anyways, for those who
She
are
just
having
saying
issues
that he
with
should get
Zani's
good.
rotation, I have some tips and
Get good at the game, Saintontas. What are you even doing?
tricks for you. First off,
Get good.
it seems that it isn't common knowledge for how to optimize
My god.
baby's part of the rotation.
All right. So, what do you guys think about that whole situation? I kind of reacted to both sides of the story, so I'm gonna give you my take on
Okay,
this. Right.
sir.
First off, I'm a chill player. I'm a grown ass player. I hop on the game. I beat my content. I clear my content. I'm chilling, right? I don't really care for spreadsheets. I don't really care for mid maxing, or I don't care if a character or a team does 5, 10, 15% more than my team as long as I'm clearing content.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it a stack, right? But this is a gacha and some people get paranoid, power creep, yada yada yada. So let's really talk about it. Saintontas is calling out Magyi for saying that you could do this type of rotations and that the damage is this much, right? He's saying that those are lies, that you cannot do it, and that she's spreading misinformation because she hates Kuro and is on a revenge quest against Kuro because they kicked her out of the program. That's Bobby Lee's side of the story. Then we have Maggie coming out with her calculations saying, yo, this is what you can pretty much do. These are the numbers, or close to them approximately. Take them with a grain of salt. And then she drops a video telling people like Bobby Lee, listen, you might have a skill issue. You might be whack as fuck when you play the game.
Yeah,
So
absolutely
this
correct.
is what I was talking about. Yes, you can do these rotations. Yes, the damage gap is still about what I said at the beginning. So, yeah. Fuck you. Respectfully, of course. Hey, that's what Maggie said, not me. I'm just saying. I'm just delivering the message, right? Now, what do you guys think? Do y'all think this whole thing is like a big thing or is it kind of like a nothing burger? Now, I'm not gonna lie. People taking these, calculations and blowing them up more than they need to be is kind of cringe. People also attacking other creators and making things be extra dramatic when in reality and in real life they're soft as baby shit when they some pussy ass dudes in real life and attacking and attacking and attacking other people. It's kind of boring. It's kind of cringe, bro. That's just my take
Well,
on it.
yes,
You
it
know what I
is.
mean? That's just my take. At the end of the day, I'm gonna keep it a stack. Maggie, Saint.
No, 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 no. Alright. No, no. I can't say Maggie because Maggie's a child. All right, so let's that Maggie's whole situation of the point of the video. The initial point of the video was to say that power creep is existing in weather waves by the fact that you can do X amount more damage than previous And Saintontas was trying to counter it by saying that this is a lie. You can't even hit those numbers while doing a rotation. Then Magyi comes out and produces a video that showcases exactly what she did, and also she shit on him by saying that if you read, which is something that Saintontas is not really doing that much, you'd have noticed that she said that these aren't going to be the identical numbers that you will get. This is just based on the theory. And did she get close to the theory? She get pretty much almost spot on with her theory to prove that yes, power creep does exist. Now there may be counterattack from Gotcha Smack or Tectone or Saintontas that power creep is not in the game because you can clear the content with anybody. That's not the meaning of power creep. Power creep means that a unit has significantly scale over the previous older unit, and this is something that is impossible for any gacha game to prevent. Reason being because in order to incentivize people by for pulling a new character, like in order to incentivize people to pull for a new character, you have to make them strong because more than likely, to give an example, say for example, I have Kafka and Akron came out. They're both Nailty DPS with electric. I would not want to pull Akron because I already have an electric DPS in Kafka. So you kind of understand what I mean here. So in order to incentivize people to pull, not only do the character have to look good, but the character have to be a little bit better than what you currently have to incentivize people that already have a DPS for that slot to pull on that character.